All right, and now we get to the main event of the evening, the Trilogy bout. For the first time inside the UFC and under the mixed martial arts rule set, you have the middleweight championship bout between the champion in Israel, the last Stylebender, Adesanya, who comes into the fight with a record of 23 victories and only one defeat that was up a weight class at 205 pounds, trying to chase champ status against Jan Blachowicz. And he's going up against the number 4 ranked Alex Poatan Pereira, the former 2-weight Glory Kickboxing World Champion at middleweight and light heavyweight, with a record in mixed martial arts of 6 victories and 1 defeat. But he's undefeated inside the UFC at 3-0, with knockout victories over Andres Mihailidis and Sean Strickland, and a decision victory over Bruno Blindado Silva. His first loss in professional MMA came in his first pro MMA bout, and he's won 6 straight fights since then. Pereira holds 2 victories over Adesanya in kickboxing, one via decision where a lot of people believe that Adesanya did enough to win the fight, and another one via a vicious knockout, I believe in the 2nd or 3rd round, in another bout where he caught Adesanya on the chin with a left hook and knocked him out cold. Will Pereira be able to land that one-hitter-quitter kill shot in his beautiful left hook, or will Adesanya be able to evade, poke and prod, and pick apart Pereira for either a late finish or a decision on the judges' scorecards? Without any further ado, let's break it down. All right. So, this is a really difficult fight to break down, and I could see both sides of people picking Adesanya to retain the title and people picking Pereira to win the belt in only his 8th mixed martial arts bout, his 8th pro MMA bout. They're both coming off wins. You know, Adesanya is coming off the decision victory over Jared Cannonier at UFC 276, while Pereira is coming off that KO victory in the first round over Sean Strickland in the same event at UFC 276. Both got victories on the same event, and now they will meet for the first time inside MMA after having that history for a long time in the kickboxing scene and on the kickboxing circuit. We're going to look at the stats before we break it down. The height, 6'4" on the side of the champion in Israel Adesanya to 6'4" on the side of the challenger and the number 4 ranked Alex Poatan Pereira. Reach, 80-inch reach for Adesanya to a 79-inch reach for Pereira. So only a 1-inch reach advantage for Adesanya. I think he's going to use his reach a little bit better than Pereira does in this fight, but, you know, only a 1-inch reach advantage for the champion. That's something he's not really used to, in my opinion. 44.5-inch leg reach for Adesanya to 44-inch leg reach for Pereira. So very close in terms of statistical breakdowns for the fight. Win percentages, 68% of the wins come by way of KO TKO for Adesanya. 83% of the wins come by way of KO TKO for Pereira. Now, I know Adesanya has much more experience, a vast amount of MMA experience, 24 fights compared to 7 fights in pro MMA. But Alex Pereira with an 83% finish rate, 68% finish rate on the side of the champion, and Adesanya is also absolutely phenomenal. No submissions on either side. I don't expect to see a submission or grappling that much in this fight. 32% decision rate for Adesanya to 17% decision rate for Poatan Pereira. That was obviously the decision victory over Bruno Blindado Silva in his 2nd fight inside the UFC. Average fight time for the champion in Adesanya, you're looking at 18 minutes and 9 seconds. For the challenger in Pereira, you're looking at 7 minutes and 38 seconds. 0.76 knockdowns per 15-minute fight for Adesanya to 1.31 for Alex Poatan Pereira. I mean, if the guy touches your chin, he can put out anybody. Whether it's middleweight, light heavyweight, he has the ability and the power to put out just about anybody in the division, and I fully believe that. And that includes Adesanya. I know he has a 2-0 record over him in kickboxing, but you can't really take those fights and look too much into them going into this fight in MMA. I'll give you a few reasons why. Number 1, different round times. Usually in kickboxing, the rounds are only 3 minutes. You'll have 8 to 10 rounds. In MMA, you're looking at 5-minute rounds. It's a different game. It's a different style of game. A different approach has to be taken for that extra 2 minutes per round. And I don't think that that's one area that you can't really look too much into it. Number two, the gloves. You're looking at, 12 to 14 ounce gloves in kickboxing. You're looking at 4-ounce gloves in MMA. So the defense is going to be a lot different. There's going to have to be a lot more reliance on head movement, side steps, angle changes, more than just keeping the high guard up and looking to block on the gloves, because a lot of the times you can block shots on the gloves when they're big, huge gloves. But with 4-ounce gloves, it's a lot harder to defend, and it's also a lot harder to see the shots coming when you have those 4-ounce gloves on. Now, experience side in MMA 100% goes to the champion in Adesanya. I mean, he's fought the who's who of individuals inside the UFC's middleweight division. The only loss came at light heavyweight. He's never even lost at middleweight in his MMA career or inside the UFC. You look at some of his recent fights, he's got a decision victory over Jared Cannonier, unanimous decision victory over Robert Whittaker, unanimous decision over Marvin Vettori, the loss to Jan Blachowicz via decision that was at UFC 259 when he tried to go up to light heavyweight to get champ status, the TKO in the second round over Paulo Costa. That's a huge victory, probably one of the best performances of Adesanya's career. Just clean, technical, wasn't really put in any danger, got in and got out. Decision victory over Yoel Romero at UFC 248 in a 5-round fight. A lot of people didn't like that fight. Very, very boring, not really the cup of tea for anybody. The second round KO victory over Robert Whittaker, where he won the middleweight championship. So since he's won the title, he's defended the belt on 5 separate occasions, but 4 of those defenses have come by way of decision, with the only finish in that title defense run of 5 fights coming over the likes of Paulo Costa, which is why I say it's his most impressive performance. And the title winning performance against Whittaker, obviously. Prior to that, he became the interim middleweight champion at UFC 236 by defeating Kelvin Gastelum in a back-and-forth war. I mean, one of the best middleweight title fights you'll ever see. One of the best fights in MMA overall, just in general. They went back and forth. Gastelum hurt Adesanya with a high kick. He wobbled him up against the cage. Adesanya came back, saying, "I'm willing to die," and going into the 5th round. Like, it was one of the best fights you'll ever see. If you have not watched Adesanya versus Gastelum, which I can't imagine a lot of you haven't, please go out of your way to watch that fight before this fight. Don't let it make you make decisions on who's going to win this fight, but it's just a good fight to watch if you haven't seen it, and you're doing yourself a disservice. Prior to that decision victory over Kelvin Gastelum, he had the decision win over Anderson Silva at UFC 234 in the main event. A 3-round fight. It was obviously supposed to be a 5-round fight between Whittaker and Gastelum, but Whittaker had to pull out last minute due to a stomach issue, and they then made Adesanya and Silva the main event. He had that TKO at Madison Square Garden over Derek Brunson in the first round, 4 minutes and 51 seconds into the first. Just really a dominant performance from Adesanya in that fight. A clean, technical, clinical performance against Brad Tavares via unanimous decision. Split decision over Marvin Vettori, and then a TKO in his UFC debut against Rob Wilkinson with knees and punches in the second round. So in the UFC, Pereira's 3-0, and Adesanya is 12-1, I believe. Let me count that again and make sure. I believe it's 12-1 inside the UFC. Yeah, 12-1 in the UFC, 23-1 overall in his professional MMA career. 15 of those wins come by way of finish and 8 by decision. The one loss by decision over Jan Blachowicz. And then Pereira, obviously 3-0 inside the UFC, 6-1 in pro MMA. But 2 victories come by way of finish. The left hook knockout and the straight right behind it against Sean Strickland. And then the flying knee KO over Andres Mihailidis and the decision over Bruno Blindado Silva. Look, Poatan deserves to be here. I know he doesn't have the most MMA experience. He doesn't have the most UFC experience. But he deserves to be here. Knocking out Sean Strickland the way that he did, I mean, trust me, he deserves to be here right now. Even if you don't believe me, if you want to disagree with me, that's fine. But it's well-deserved in my opinion. And this is the perfect time to make the fight. Madison Square Garden, the mecca of combat sports, with one of the biggest trilogies, with the biggest background stories in MMA or combat sports history. I mean, coming from a different sport, working your way up to the UFC when Adesanya already made his claim there was the champion, blah, blah, blah. And Pereira is able to come in with only 4 fights in pro MMA, 3-1 overall, and just make a statement, especially that knockout over Sean Strickland. Like, nobody does that to Strickland, and he made it look easy. Now, obviously, if Strickland would have wrestled, maybe it would have played out differently, but he didn't, and what we saw was a beautiful left hook and then 2 follow-up right hands that put Sean Strickland onto another planet. Against Bruno Silva, even though he lost the fight, the inside low kicks to the overhands were catching Pereira a lot. He was able to time Pereira using that long frame, the lead hand frame, to circle off to his right. He was able to time that with overhands and low kicks, and that was something that when Pereira backs away with that lead long hand frame up against the cage, he's kind of primed for the picking, and he's just moving in one direction and can't really change directions as effectively. When it comes to Pereira's defense, that's the real issue I see, is him using that long guard on the lead hand frame and circling away to his right. He can kind of run into punches or run into kicks because he's only circling that one direction, and he's not really guarding his face that effectively or the body. That's the only time we've seen him really get caught, and Bruno Silva was able to exploit that a few times in the fight. Obviously, Pereira scored the knockdowns. He hurt him with the left hook. Left hook to the body, right uppercut. Right hook to the body, right uppercut, left hook up top, left hook to the body. I mean, he can mix up his combinations very effectively. The thing with Pereira is he's looking to keep you inside the square. He's looking to keep you inside his little box of chaos. I just did a breakdown on my YouTube channel on Alex Pereira. So if you want like more detailed breakdowns on his fighting style, you can go check that out on my channel. Same name as the podcast, at Touch Him Up Podcast. But he's always looking to guide you into his left hook. Right high kick to direct you to the left hook. Boom. Lead left body kick or switch kick is to keep you stationary and, again, keep you on the path for the left hook. The jab up top, jab to the body, jab to the body. And he's always constantly angling off to his left side. Little stutter steps, little brief angle changes, moving to his left. Right high kick, get you to circle to the left hook. Jab to the body, it's to get you to bite on the jab feint, and then he'll come up with the 3, the left hook up top to the head like he did against Sean Strickland. Jab, feint the jab, right hand, boom, left hook behind it. Straight right, boom, left hook behind it. Everything is to set up the left hook, and he's got one of the best left hooks in all the combat sports. Probably the best left hook in the history of combat sports in terms of MMA, kickboxing, Muay Thai, etc., etc. Alex Pereira has the best one. And the key to this fight is, will Pereira be able to find the target with the left hook against Adesanya? Because if he does, he will knock him out. He's already done it before with 12-ounce gloves. What makes you think he can't do it with 4-ounce gloves? Or will Adesanya be defensive, play it safe, attack inside and outside low kicks, attack the body, close the distance when he slows down Pereira? Because Pereira's never been 5 rounds in MMA. He's never been 5 rounds in MMA, and that's something people need to look into. The round timing is different. It's a lot different than kickboxing with those 3-minute rounds. 5-minute rounds is something you need to get accustomed to. Pereira's never been there. Now, will he need 25 minutes? No. But if it goes to a decision, if it goes to the scorecards, I lean heavily on the side of Adesanya to get the nod on the scorecards, because that probably means he avoided the big power shots of Pereira. He jabbed him up. Jab, right hand, left hook, right low kick, jab, left hook, right low kick, jab, right hand, left hook, right body kick, jab, left hook, right body kick, right high kick, left high kick, angle off, pull counters, right hand, left hook, feint with the rear right hand, pop the right hand, roll underneath, jab, feint, right low kick, feint, angle step, low kick, left hook, jab, right hand. Like, he probably just picked them apart and fought a boring decision if it goes to the scorecards. If there's a finish in this fight, I more than likely side with the challenger in Alex Poatan Pereira. And that's kind of how I see this fight. Like, look, the key is, can he avoid the left hook? But everything Pereira does sets up the left hook, and he does it in so many different ways, and there's no wind up on the shot that it almost makes me think that it's mission impossible for Adesanya to avoid this left hook for 25 minutes. And that's really what it comes down to in this breakdown. Do I think that Adesanya has more weapons in his MMA game? Absolutely. Do I think we might see Adesanya wrestle? I think it would be smart, but I don't think he's going to do it. But on the side of Pereira, he's been training with Glover Teixeira his entire time in MMA, And his takedown defense, his get-up game is good. He's able to get up to the feet. Like, I think Adesanya probably has the better wrestling and jiu-jitsu, but I don't really think we're going to see him use it. It would be smart, but I think they're going to stay on the feet. You know, having those 2 losses to Pereira, and one where he thought he definitely won the fight and they gave the decision to Alex, like, he's going to be looking to make a statement in this fight. But by him looking to make a statement, I think he might fight a little bit emotional. Now, Adesanya never really fights emotional, but this is a different story. I think he's going to fight a little bit emotional, and he might be a little bit more aggressive. And with the aggression of Adesanya and the way that he pulls back from shots, slips out of the way, even in the fight against Paulo Costa, there was a point where he landed a jab, feint the jab, and then a left hook behind it. And the left hook was literally a chin hair away from the chin of Adesanya. Now, Paulo Costa has a great left hook, don't get me wrong. But if Pereira is that close with a left hook, it's probably going to connect on your chin and you're going to go to sleep. Like, the fact that he pulls away from shots, the fact that he uses and relies on a lot of head movement and distance control. Like, yeah, if he can keep Pereira at kicking range the entire time and chop those legs to the point where he can't get enough spring and power into the left hook, then sure, he can fight that way. But Pereira is not going to allow him to fight that way, and he's going to be constantly angle changing. Right high kick to direct him to the left hook. Feint the right high kick, throw the left hook. Lead teep kick to the body, rear teep kick to the body to throw the left hook. Feint the jab, throw the left hook behind it. Lead outside left low kick, right high kick, move left, boom, left hook. Left hook, feint it, boom, spinning wheel kick, step back, jab, left hook behind it. Feint the right hand, gets you to move to your left, to move to your right into the left side of Pereira. Constantly small angle changes that maybe the opponents can't see. I'm sure Adesanya, with his experience in kickboxing as well, will see those shots. But I heard somebody bring up that it looks like Adesanya's striking has gotten progressively worse due to the more success he's had in MMA. And although I can see their point, I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think Adesanya just knows he's at such a higher level than most of these guys that he's competing against that he can fight safe and fight smart and take less damage by maybe not winning these fights in the way that the fans want to, but winning the fights with the optimal goal being take less damage and get another win. And he can do that against a lot of guys. I'm telling you right now, he can't do that against Pereira. You fight safe, you fight smart, the way you've been fighting against Vettori with the same straight right to the lead left uppercut that he threw like 900 times in the rematch. Pereira's going to time you and catch you and knock you out. It's going to happen 100%. And when it comes down to my prediction for the fight, like, I'm going to go with New. I'm going to go with Alex Pereira. I know why people are picking Adesanya. I see your points. I know he's got more MMA experience. I know he's got more experience in this sport. I 100% see where you're coming from. But I just don't think Adesanya can avoid the left hook for 25 minutes. And the thing is, Pereira only needs one shot. I said it against Strickland. I'll say it again against the champion in Adesanya. I think Pereira just has Adesanya's number. I could see Adesanya getting a finish later on in the fight, maybe in the third, fourth, or the fifth. But even the fight with Paulo Costa, like that jab, the left hook, it was so close. The left hook, its hooks against Whitaker. Like, he was pulling away, which is great defense, great awareness. But even though Whitaker has a great left hook, even though Costa has a great left hook, it's not the left hook that Pereira possesses. And I just think that even if you pull away from those shots, Pereira's going to find a way to catch you on that chin with that left hook. And when he catches Adesanya on the chin, he's going to knock him out. And we're going to have a new champion at 185 pounds. So my prediction for this fight is the number 4 ranked Alex Poatan Pereira to improve to 7-1 in professional mixed martial arts and 4-0 in the UFC, and a clean sweep at 3-0 over the champion in Israel Adesanya. 2 wins in kickboxing and 1 in the premier mixed martial arts organization in the world inside the UFC, with Pereira winning via a second round knockout. I could see a third round. You know what? I'm going to go with the third. Let's change it. I'll go with a third round TKO victory because I think the first 2 might be pretty close. I think Adesanya might clearly win the first round. Second round's a little bit closer, but eventually he's going to take a misstep and Adesanya is going to get caught with that left hook and knocked out. So my pick is New, the number 4 ranked Alex Poatan Pereira, to defeat the champion in Israel Adesanya, handing him his first loss in the middleweight division via a third round knockout, catching Adesanya pulling away, closing that distance off when he can't see it, and landing that left hook on the chin and knocking him out.